Close your eyes. You are in the heart of Anatolia, April 1920. The air is not filled with the sound of celebrations or the sight of colorful balloons. It is thick with the dust of a forgotten steppe town called Ankara. You expect to see a grand palace where a nation is born. But the reality is a half-finished building with no roof. We are told that history is written in marble halls. But what if the most powerful decisions are made in the shadows of ruins? Tell me, does a nation need a palace to be born, or just a purpose? Let's declassify the mechanism of hope. This building wasn't even meant for a new republic. Construction started back in 1916, designed for the Committee of Union and Progress. But history took a different turn, and the building was left to rot as a skeleton. No windows, no floorboards, and a gaping hole where the roof should be. Imagine the weight of the moment, trying to build a new world inside the shell of an old, abandoned failure. If you were there, would you see a ruin or a foundation? Tell me in the comments, can a new future be built on the bones of the past? On the eve of the opening, the lack of a roof was a fatal crisis. But a young man named Vebi Koç had a radical idea. He roamed the streets of Ankara, going door to door. He didn't just ask for charity, he negotiated, buying the roof tiles directly from the citizens' own homes. One by one, the people stripped their own roofs to cover the nation's parliament. They traded their private shelter for a public shield. Would you sell the tiles off your own roof to build a home for freedom? I want to see your answers. This wasn't just sacrifice. It was a trade of survival. Inside the hall, the myth of luxury disappears. There were no plush chairs. The leaders sat on wooden benches borrowed from local primary schools. Imagine these generals and intellectuals crammed into seats designed for children. Was it a coincidence? Or was it a sign that they were not there as masters, but as students of a new century? If you had to build a new world, would you start in a boardroom or a classroom? Tell me why you think the setting matters. How did they reach Ankara? Official convoys? No. The roads were blocked by occupation and betrayal. This was a clandestine operation. They traveled as peasants, as merchants, as lonely monks. Every bridge was a potential gallows. It was a massive infiltration of a broken landscape. Here is a question for you. If all roads were closed, how far would you walk for a dream of freedom? Share the most difficult journey you've ever taken in the comments below. Why is it a Children's Day? Most people see balloons and joy, but the reality was born from the deepest scars of war. Decades of conflict had left tens of thousands of orphans roaming the streets. This day was a mechanism to save them, the Gürbüz Çocuklar. By gifting the parliament's anniversary to the children, the state made a radical claim. The child is the owner of the future. Why do you think a revolutionary leader chose the most vulnerable as the heirs of a nation? Is there a more powerful way to ensure peace? This wasn't just for one nation. It was the first holiday in human history dedicated to children by a head of state. And today, it is celebrated by children of all colors and backgrounds across the globe. It is a universal message. Childhood has no nationality. I want to ask our global audience, does your country have a day for children? Tell us about your traditions. Let's see how many cultures we can represent in the comments today. If you give the future to the children, you make war an enemy of progress. The mechanism was brilliant. By empowering the youth, you build a barrier against the shadows of the past. These children were not just fed, they were trained to be the engineers of peace. Can a nation's survival be guaranteed by the strength of its smallest citizens? What do you think is the best way to protect the nation's future? Education? Health? Or something else? Your opinion matters. We look back and see a holiday, but we should see a blueprint of organization. 23rd April is the story of how a people without a roof managed to build a house for freedom. It proves that sovereignty is not a gift. It is a structure built by those who refuse to surrender. We share the pain, we share the roof, and we protect the future. Do you believe a collective sacrifice like this is possible in today's world? Or have we forgotten how to build together? Sovereignty was won by those who could organize in the face of impossible odds. But as a new sun rose over Ankara, the ancient world still held its greatest secrets under layers of ash. Join us in our next episode as we leave the Anatolian steppe for the shores of the Mediterranean to uncover the ultimate sanctuary of human thought, the Great Library of Alexandria. We will explore the architecture of knowledge and the fire that nearly erased our history. This is Echoes of History. See you in the next one.